fascination for the size of the economy and how quickly that economy was growing. What I was stunned about when I started visiting China was, back then, China had this reputation as a copycat nation, just copying ideas from the US. But actually, when I started to look deeper into the products, a lot of the products, even though the idea may have been copied, a lot of the products were actually better technology-wise. And we started to understand that China's technology was moving far faster than the US. And so we took this stance that China was going to become multiple Silicon Valleys. And if we wanted to be a major global player, we had to have some presence there. So that started our China program. And when we got introduced to H&A, we spoke to a lot of investment firms in China and a lot of well-known capital sources. But Hainan are an incredibly impressive company. And we felt they had resources for us, not just with capital, but also across their technology, ecotech division, across their real estate division.
Well, that's a strategic investor, right? It's a strategic investor for you.
Yeah, so it is a strategic investment, and I think we will use that capital in lots of different ways, and it's going to help us get out of the world.
Nice. Yeah, as a Chinese lover, I'm very happy to hear you see that, because based on my own experience, when I was an entrepreneur doing my company in Silicon Valley, I even started doing the venture investing. I always heard people saying that, okay, China always want to copy the technology, they don't do innovation, but actually that's changing. And I think we saw a lot of innovation happening in China right now. And also, this communication and also collaboration between China and the US, I think grow pretty fast since last year. I think the collaboration between you guys and Hainan is a very good example. And also, to our topic, the gap between US and China in terms of innovation, technology transfer, market validation, there's tremendous opportunity in that. So what's your next step? What's your next plan after you build up this strong relationship with local partner? Any specific plan for China?
Yeah, so our intention is to go ahead and open probably an initial 6 locations in China. But I think the really interesting part is today there are very few US companies, US tech companies, who are really doing well in China. And vice versa, there's very few Chinese technology companies doing very well in America. But I think that's going to change. I think WeChat is by far the best communication tool in the world, period. I think there's interesting companies like Musical.ly coming out of China, working on a US strategy first. I think we're seeing that change. And Rocket Space wants to be the bridge, if you like, between China with our campuses in China and then our campuses here in the US and the rest of the world. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Would you advise your investments here in the US to look at China as a market?
Yeah, I think for sure not all the US companies would be willing to go to China, or would be a good opportunity for them to go to China. But I think for us, our main focus on the investment is on technology companies, especially industrial level application, enterprise level application, and medical healthcare. So for this type of technology, actually it does not have boundary between different nations. For example, for marketplace, for social network, it's very localized. But for technology, it could apply to different regions, different applications. So I think there's a big opportunity for them. And from our perspective, we don't really push them to go to China, but we will help them. And also, as you mentioned earlier, how to go to a different market during the global expansion is tricky. Finding the right local partner is critical. So from our side, we also want to find a good partner for the US company before actually help them go to China. So I think strategy is important, and also make sure every step is protected and predictable is very important. Yeah, so you told me you're going to China pretty soon. So what's your next trip? Is there anything interesting and exciting you want to share with us?
That I can share?
Secret?
I go to China about every second month, about 6 times a year now, and I'm trying to learn the language. It's infuriatingly hard. I have huge respect for all the Chinese who can speak English. I don't know how hard that is. But yeah, at the moment we're still setting up relationships. We obviously have a joint venture with H&A that we're very happy with in China. And I think American firms have to be very careful of thinking that what works here in America will work in China.
Yeah.
I think our experience and what we're learning is, in some regards, the right strategy is to make sure to allow your Chinese partner to build what will work in China. And don't try and impose your US mindset onto those companies. And it's one of the interesting parts of the strategy, and obviously we've seen it. One of the startups in rocket space which has done very well is Uber, and it's been really interesting seeing how they've finally settled their competition with Didi. But I think that could be a good strategy for a lot of US companies, is actually to go to China, identify the best Chinese competitor there, and then just simply invest in that Chinese competitor, buy 25% of them, and then share their knowledge and their know-how so that you have a highly successful Chinese entity, a highly successful US entity, and so forth. And I think we're going to see some very interesting strategies in that part.
Yeah, it's more like a local handle the local thing.
Absolutely. I mean, Beijing is in some regards, a far more aggressive, tougher market than Silicon Valley.
I think vice versa. Now we also saw lots of the Chinese companies, they're planning to come to the United States, trying to open up the window and channel to explore this market as well. And as you mentioned earlier, there are some very good Chinese companies, including like WeChat, gradually taking off in US as well. So I think become a bridge and window is a very good choice, and also it's very critical, very important to really do something like make the ecosystem different.
Well, I'm very proud that Cheetah Mobile is sponsoring today, because Cheetah Mobile actually was one of our first Chinese companies from China to set up in the rocket space, and obviously a great company and doing great here and in China. So it's been exciting.
Yeah. So we have a few minutes left. I would like to ask some questions about you, because I think the whole story about rocket space is like, I won't call it American dream, but it's like something like superstar. All of a sudden, like you build up this whole ecosystem. You have so many great companies out from your accelerator, this program. So what's your secret? And what do you think like the key value, the key thing you did it, right away and make all these things happen?
I think we say this to all the founders in rocket space, that you have to work on something that is your passion.
Yeah.
And I think for me, creating rocket space has been, it just allows me to do exactly what I love every day. So it first comes from passion, and second, it really comes from trying to collaborate with lots of different partners.
Yeah.
So we would love to be doing business with yourself, with NewGen. We would love. We work with a lot of other VCs, a lot of other incubators, and collectively we think we raise the boat for everyone by building a better ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's more like everyone trying to contribute to this ecosystem. Now